Hi, Russ here. This is UFO Paranormal TV and Flying Saucer Television. And tonight I have a friend, because I've known her for quite some time now in this subject, Tina Bird. And she's here with us. So, hi, how are you doing, Tina?
Hi, Russ. Hi, everyone. I'm Tina Bird here from Southampton in the UK, and it's great to see Russ. I've known Russ for many years now. He has actually shared some experiences, the same as me. So, abductees together. And if you see behind me, please, I encourage you to get Russ's book, E.T. Rider by Russ Kellett. Please find it on Amazon. But we're in for a great show tonight, and Russ always delivers the goods. So, we're here to give it a go, Russ.
Yeah, well, this is it. I remember last time we spoke on show, and I had a different show then, and sort of like anyway, might be having another show later on. So here we go. So, where did it all start for you? For people that don't know you, and I have been disrespectful because there's people that haven't heard my story as well sometimes and what have you, and sort of like, and you should have, both of us. So, where did it all start for you?
So I was 6 years old. So you're talking back in the 1970s. My first ever thing that I remember is I was 6 years old. It was the middle of the night in my mum and dad's house, in my room. And I woke up. I felt really alert. Just for some reason, I was really wide awake, alert. And I got out of bed. I'm not sure why. I just seemed to be listening. I could hear my brothers breathing in the next room, like snoring. In the room after that is my mum and dad's, and I could hear them snoring away. Bathroom light was on. So my bedroom was directly down the hall. We could see straight down the hall. I went to the threshold of my bedroom, and all of a sudden, this beam, this white beam, just shoots through from the ceiling straight down through the floor, took up the whole of the hallway. I was frozen to the spot. I couldn't feel. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was just looking at it, and then it must have been sheer amazement. And then I remember this face appearing. It must have been, I think it was a couple of seconds. I don't know how long I stood that. And this face of the light appeared, like a giant face, across between Santa Claus and what you called Socrates, or like a Greek mountain curly hair. And all of a sudden, it went to rush towards me, the whole face and beam, and I turned around to run in my room. The light overtook me, and I don't remember anything. And that was my first experience at 6 years old. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, I'm now 52, for those who don't know. And that happened when I was 6. But a lot of people don't understand. I only came forward. I wasn't going to come forward. And that is the truth. What people don't realise with abductees, they all want to hear about the aliens and all this and that, and they're good aliens. And it's not an airy-fairy story. In fact, for me, it's been quite horrifying and horrific. And it's profoundly changed my life, and people don't, and not in a good way. So it's trust issues. People say, "Oh, you're paranoid," but who do you trust? And people say, "Well, why didn't you come forward earlier?" When you're 6 years old and you see something, one, no one's going to believe you. Two, it leaves you so quickly. It's like you've seen your nan every now and then. You know it's your nan. No one tells you it's your nan. You say, "Oh," because you recognise them. And life overtakes you. It's not every day. It's now and then. So I didn't come forward till I was in my late 40s. Because I was taken again. I didn't ever think I was going to be taken again. I've many encounters over the years. And one of the last big ones I remember is that went to bed, normal night, me and my partner in bed, sleep, really hot. I remember that window being open. Next thing I know, I wake up. I didn't say I wake up. I was on my fetal position on the left-hand side of the bed, facing right, facing the wall. We had a king-size bed at the time, and there was a 2-foot gap, less than that, between the end of the bed and the wall. As I was like that, I was frozen in a spot. My eyes bulged forward from like a blackness, and then this blue and green light lit the room. I couldn't move. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't flicker my eyes. I could just see. And my partner was missing. The bed covers were pulled back, and there was this white thing. Now, people call them greys. I don't know why people call them greys. These things were glowing white. And this thing, I couldn't see its face because the angle I was at. It was just stood there. I could just see. It was just in my vision. And it bent forward. About the size of an 8 to 10-year-old kid, about 8-year-old kid, but like an anorexic 8-year-old. And it bent, but just below the hips, not where our hips would bend. I'm not quite sure what's happening now. Sorry. And then and it bent forward to look at. I had 3 pictures of my huskies and a couple of dolls from when I was a kid there. And it stopped. It must have known I was awake. It didn't want to link with me. And next thing I know, it all went bright white light. And next thing I know, literally, I'm still facing the same direction. My partner is sat up, bolt upright in bed, and he's holding his throat. And the first words out of him says, "My throat hurts, my bottom hurts." Within days, we both felt unwell, becoming seriously unwell, not just a little. Within, say, 2 or 3 weeks, I was having headaches, nosebleeds. I was starting to vomit blood. Within a month, I started to vomit blood. My partner was getting headaches, tummy aches, started to lose weight rapidly. By Christmas, we were so both sick. I was still vomiting like exorcist blood. Literally, I was stood in the hallway, went to run towards my mum's bathroom, and it was like it was something like the exorcist. It was just blood everywhere. And then my partner lost about 3 stone in weight, had become very anorexic looking. He had lots of pain. Went to see the doctor, he had enough. And I said to the doctor, look, something's wrong. I'm having all these problems. He said, Tina, I'm going to send you for an endoscopy, like the camera down the throat.
Yeah.
So I went, and the next day I phoned my doctor back because I was going to have to see my partner. So my doctor referred my partner as well. A couple of weeks went by. I think it was end of January, February. I had a referral to go to Southampton General Hospital. And I went in to see Professor Bryan, I think his name was. It was a professor. It wasn't a doctor, it was a professor. And I went into his clinic, and he said, oh, hello, Tina, what's the matter, kind of thing. And I said, look, this is what's wrong. Told him what was been happening. He said, right, okay. So it's been, okay, come in. And now in hospitals, they have a big TV screen in the scan room, and you can be awake, and they put the camera down your throat, and you can see inside your body. Well, I was there after a couple of minutes. They spray your throat, putting the camera down, and they hold you down so you don't move. And he had like 4 or 5 people like he was training. And he said, oh, God, get that. He said, just stop the camera. He said, Tina, you're right. He said, just give us some more spare something. He said, something's not right. He said, get a biopsy of that. And he took about 6 or 8 biopsies. He said, I've never seen that. I don't know what that's doing now. And blah, blah, blah. And you could see like the pinky material. Then it just went black. He said, normally you see clots or ulcers look black. He said, that's not right. So he pulled the tube out and let me sat for a minute, and he explained what he was going to do. He said, I'm going to write you some medication now. Take it to the pharmacist downstairs at the hospital. Start your medication today. He said, I'll see you in a month or 2 months. Can't remember what he said. He said, but if the vomiting, your blood starts again vomiting, he said, go come to A&E, come straight in and we'll see. He said, that's really serious. He said, you've got a lot of damage, and he couldn't work out. And he said, they sent me for, I think, I'm not sure if it was an x-ray as well, but I had that done anyway. So I think it was about a week later, Marco's appointment came through. It was a week after mine. So I took my partner into the clinic, and he walks by. I said, Tina, he said, you're right. What are you doing back here? So I'm not supposed to see you for a month. He said, you're bleeding. I'm like, no, this is my partner. And he says, oh, yeah. He said, what's that with him then? Sympathy pains. I said, no, he's worse than me. And he said, what? He said, you 2 live together? I said, yeah. He said, and you both got the same symptoms? I said, he's not vomiting blood, but he has this, and this. He said, that's really serious. He said, tell you what, come in with me. He said, just wait there, Tina. Took my partner in. I was in, about half an hour, 40 minutes. He was in there about an hour and a half. And I was starting to get worried. And then, so when I came out, the hospital gave me a printed yellow form to say what, with the scan, and they said some type of ulcer and scarring and marking it deep inside my body. He said, it's not a little bit down. He said, it's really down inside your body. So Marco comes out with his, and he said, you 2 live together? He said, this start at the same time? And I said, yes. He said, well, could you come into the room? I've got something I'd like to speak to you both about. And he took me and my partner into this side room. Another doctor was with him. And he said, I'm going to send you both down now. He said, I apologise. He said, I don't want to worry you both. He said, but I do think Marco has liver cancer or some type of cancer. Or he said his insides look seriously wrong and damaged. He said, have you been on holiday, any operations, lived together anyway? He said, I'm going to send Marco for, I think he had an x-ray and 3 or 4 blood tests at the hospital. They said, go down and have this now. He said, and come back in 4 hours. So we left there, went home, cried because we thought he was going to die. Went back, and he said, look, we're going to prepare for the worst and hope for the best this next few days. Yeah. He said, we've had the blood results, but we definitely think he's got some type of cancer, liver cancer. He said, but we can't find it. And he gave him this medication, but his report said He has the same markings, the same scarring, and the same type of ulcer beneath it at the same point, distance in the stomach as I do from that night. So that's medical, physical evidence right there. And then I was beginning to worry because he looked even more worse, and and I knew what it was from, and I thought, well, do I say something to him because he didn't remember a thing? Do I say, look, this happened this night? You're going to sound crazy. So I didn't say anything to him, and I thought after about another month, and he was on all this medication, having other scans and that, and I was so desperate. I didn't want my partner to die. I was in a terrible state. So I tried to find someone in ufology, and do you know what? There wasn't anybody. No one I could find in England. Nobody wanted to. You couldn't register unless you were like famous or doing something. They only wanted to take UFO reports, and they weren't interested in nothing. I genuinely wanted help. So in the end, I came across this name, Gary Hasseltine. And so I said, look, he's a policeman. If you want out, so I messaged him, and out of desperation, I had his number for about 2 weeks. So he's going to think I'm a nut. I can't message a police officer. I knew I did. I messaged him, and he got back to me. I couldn't believe it. He got back to me. He said, look, I don't deal with this. He said, you need to make an abduction report. I said, what the hell's an abduction report? He said, you need to make an abduction report. He said, this gentleman, David Hodrin, he said he's a world-class investigator. He's investigated in Australia, all around the world, and England. He said, go and see him. So I messaged Dave, and he actually phoned me back. We had about a 3-hour conversation. Told him everything. I said, look, I just want to know, is there any other males that have been abducted that has this? What's the survival rate? Is it something that's just going to pass? Is there something we should be doing or could be doing? Has this anybody, so I was desperate, really desperate. And he was good. He asked questions. He reached out for people in the field. They said some other gentleman had something similar. He said it lasted maybe 2 or 3 years, and he recovered. But unfortunately, my partner has not made a good recovery at all. So he's not very well at all. Again, at the moment, he's been in a continued downward slope since that incident.
Is that even up to present day? Sorry, is that up to present day?
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So you can. So and then. So that's the reason why I came forward. And people said, oh, you want money, you want to publish your story, you want this and that. I'm like, no. I said, I became angry after a while.
Yeah.
And people said, oh, you're negative about all this abduction. I'd love to be abducted. And you hear people, I'm an experiencer. I'm like, what the hell? Experience. There's lots of things that really annoy me, right? Experiencer. It's just like you could have an ice cream and had a good experience. What I'm saying is, Peter, you're an abductee or you're not. Experiencer takes away the harshness and the horrifying reality of what abduction is. So
I just say to you,
yeah,
I don't mind anybody, sort of like coming on and talking to me, sort of like, but there's one thing that really rubs me up, and that's when these experiencers come on and they start telling me, who's an abductee, 100% like yourself. I had it all written down. I wrote stuff down, 100% memory until you know what happened, but we'll talk about later on. They say, and they can ask you, have you had mental illness? They're asking me, have I had mental illness? Somebody who remembers something, right? Yeah. This is an so-called experiences because it's happened a few times. And I'm saying, well, no, because I remembered it. I've got memory of it happening. There were people around. On a couple of occasions, my friend went on the back of my motorbike. He didn't want to talk about it whatsoever. But we can remember. But these experiences are telling me and us about our own abductions, like they know about abductions when they say, was it real or was it a dream? If you don't know, shut the up. That's what I say.
I agree 100%. And they say that you have sleep paralysis. My father was murdered years ago. I was 17.
We've seen this on television 20 years ago, and the blacks bring it out, don't they, all the time. That's all they know. They've watched the program.
I've had sleep paralysis, actually. I had one episode. I was 17. My father got murdered. I was so stressed. It was so hurtful for my family. Devastating. And I went to sleep. And the people say, what's the difference? I said, the difference between sleep paralysis and being abducted is completely different. The main difference is when you have sleep paralysis, yes, it feels like you're awake. You're not. Your vision is blurred. I was laid front down on my right side, looking over the bed. It felt like bright white light, but it wasn't. It was more a yellowy, murky, and everything was blurred. I couldn't see anything clearly. And it felt like there was a presence in the room. It was awful. Then I started to panic because I couldn't move. Yeah. But then I realised I was panicking, hyperventilating because I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't breathe. I was panicking like mad that I was going to choke to death and couldn't breathe. Then I blacked out. When you're abducted, you don't know, you can't breathe. You don't know, you don't feel anything. And you just look out of your eyes. You're not thinking, you're not running your body systems. That's the difference. And people don't understand
it's that. It's a panic. It's like a panic attack, what you're having.
Yeah.
I've had it myself.
Yeah. So it's completely different. And then they say, lately I've been called an activist a lot. And I'm like, but you choose to use harsh words when you want. I said, I gave a talk recently, a lecture at Pusey with a Basis Project with Miles Johnson. Oh, yeah. And some people had asked me to go, and I'm like, I did a film for a documentary afterwards, after I did filming. And people said, oh, you're an activist. I said, well, no, I'm a humanist. They're like, what?
An activist?
It's called, sorry?
Where does that, and how do you mean an activist?
Well, what it is I put people in their place. Like you, Russ, I'm very forthcoming and I'm very vocal. And I've had enough. And I recently wrote to the United Nations, if anybody's not aware. Yeah. And my talk was, I'll tell you what it was the human side of alien abduction. Now, people want to hear about aliens, abductions, and UFOs. I don't talk about UFOs. It's not my field. UFOs are not my field. I only talk about my experiences and what's happened to me. Yeah. So it was the human side. How I thought now, coming forward, you're relieved at first to get all the crap out of you. To get it out, you feel for years you've got a purpose. You don't know what that purpose is. Yeah. You see things, you know things, or you hear things. Once you got it out, you feel calmer inside, like you got rid of it. So, but then I started to think it gave me a breathing gap when I thought my partner was getting better. It gave me a breathing gap when I thought I was getting better. Yeah. And I did give me a unique opportunity because of my age and looking back and when people ask me the questions. And I thought, do you know what? My perspective. Now, I wrote on this new speech I did, I wrote about environmental factors and the human cost of abduction. And when I started looking into it, I asked a few people. This is recent times. I'm not going back to Roswell and all that crap. I
totally agree with you.
Yeah, all that's over with.
Let's not go backwards. Let's talk about what's happening now.
So in 2010, so just so you know, people die from being abducted. There was hundreds upon hundreds of cases in the Calaris Islands. They were a group of islands, the other side of Brazil, where UFOs were seen for a few nights. There was only one military nurse, which was an American nurse on the island. And the rest, there was no hospital, no doctors, no nothing. And they said that the locals were being upset by the lights in the sky coming into people's houses and taking people. Well, after about a week, they found a woman paralyzed outside on the floor. People were coming back with holes in them, and 2 people were found dead. They said that the light had taken them. And she said, what do you mean light? When this nurse was called to look at the bodies, they were like mummified, looked like they were still alive, but they were dead. Their eyes were open. She took the bodies. I think one of the blokes agreed to row her or take her to the mainland, to the hospital. The bodies disappeared after autopsy. She phoned the Americans, who then phoned the Brazilian police. This is all documented. You can go on YouTube and in the History Channel, watch the Calaris Island incidents. The military went there, and then they had to call for backup. They were there for a year, recording deaths, abductions, UFOs, radiation, military abductions. They had it all. It was like a mini war for a year. This is over a year. Nothing was publicized. And then in 2009, in 2010, people started coming out. Well, I didn't come out to it in 2016. In 2019, they released a report saying from 2010, they had gathered, this is a British intelligence now, had gathered reports that, get this, they have evidence, a 1,500-page case study. They have 1,500 cases just of confirmed abductees. Well, how do they know they've confirmed this? Because if you look on my YouTube channel under Tina Brad, there's just one video on there. It's me giving a speech, and I'll put the evidence up. And it says they medically tested, they medically gave brain scans to these people, all which have brain damage from being near UFOs and being abducted. They all had all this stuff wrong with them to sexual encounters that have been recorded. They said that actually being close to UFOs and abduction, not only is it real, it is bad for your health, and they listed this.
Yeah.
And that was on Fox News Nation. So go to Fox News, put it in 2010. So 1,500 pages. I thought, well, then they said about another year later that they'd had all these other cases of military people, documented cases of abduction. Well, if abduction's not real, they've not recognised it until the Americans came forward. Where are all these people? Have they been testing? Who are they?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are these 1,500 people confirmed just taken in one area in the UK? Where are they? Why weren't they brought forward to the public? Then I got on my high horse. So you know what I'm like? I'm like, well, hold on. Just imagine now, right? So this is about human rights now and how I feel.
Yeah.
If I was a person out in the street or a coloured person, I went out and someone just said something to me, I'd phone the police and said, I've been abused. Somebody shouted this across the road. They'd then come down, go and see this person and arrest them for racial abuse. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm outside a bank. And the person says, that woman robbed that bank. The bank was robbed that day. I didn't rob the bank. That woman, I saw her in my own eyes. No CCTV. That person will then be taken to court, given a written statement, an affidavit. They then will haul me up into court and say, you were seen by a witness. No evidence. You were seen by that witness. It was you, and you get sent to prison. Now, that is accounted. Witness testimony, eyewitness testimony, or someone who was there counts in court. So an eyewitness testimony from someone who's been abducted and seen it, why does that not count as evidence in court? What is the difference? There is none.
No, there isn't.
That's one thing. And the second thing is, right, instead of me being a 6-year-old girl, I'm not going to mention the war and Germans or anything else. Now, I'm a 6-year-old child, just been abducted. Now, you take that uniform off me and put me in the Ukraine now. I'm a 6-year-old Ukrainian girl, middle of the night with a nightdress on. Right. An unidentified force comes into our planet. Our unidentified force comes into our local airspace, unencumbered by anything. Then it enters a local vicinity without permission. It then breaks in and enters my home, abducts me under the guise of night, which doesn't give you friendly intent, takes me against my will, without my permission, and then tortures me. They strap me to a table, cut bits out of me, and burn holes in me. Okay? Yeah. Just because they don't want to bury the body, they put me back. Now, who is protecting my rights? If that happened in Ukraine, you'd have every single country up in arms. You'd have every single military person out there looking for these perpetrators. You would be believed. You would be hauled in front of the Hague. Hague.
Yeah.
They would then capture these perpetrators and they would be held to account. You would get accountability. You would then get medical treatment. You would then be believed and you would get compensation. You would then be reunited with your family.
Now, you've just hit the nail on the head there, right? Yeah. So, if all the people who claim to have been abducted and had this horrific encounter with these creatures, more than one type of creatures, and had experiments and torture, because I mentioned this as well, torture. What else can you call it? What else can you call it? So the thing is, it's like...
So I wrote to the UN wanting to know who is in charge, because they have laws. They have laws about space. They have laws if aliens come here, you're not to fire them. They have laws of who can speak and meet to aliens. They have all this put in place. They have the Human Rights Convention. They have all the Jewish people that when they were terrorized by the Germans, they held all that in place. I'm a human being. I pay taxes. I live in the UK under European law, under the UK law. Okay? Who is protecting me? My family can't protect me. The police aren't protecting me. The military aren't protecting me. The Air Force not protecting me. The government's not protecting me, and the UN's not protecting me. So what makes me so special? It doesn't. You get put uniform on somebody and a gun in their hand, they're believed straight away. So at the end of the day, these perpetrators are getting away with it scot-free, and there is no rights for abductees. No. I want to know who's in charge of looking after the human race, because they're doing a poor job of doing it.
What we're going to say,
that's why people say I'm an activist. And then you've got the other side of it, which people haven't. Oh, sorry, go on, Russ.
What I was going to say is, because sort of like getting old now as well. What I was going to say is, what we're saying about all this. The thing is, at the end of the day, if we had to go forward, right? Yeah, I mean, like anybody else, and say you've done this and you've made my life people say to me, "Oh, super soldier, abductee, or so you don't look like it," and you haven't been in the what do you call it, army, the regular army, and all this lot. But the point is, it's happened, and the thing is, I haven't made any money from this. I've spent money on giving free talks and conferences when I could.
Getting the word out, yeah.
The fact is, if it comes down to it, right, yeah, there is going to have to be millions of pounds and dollars going to people that have been abducted.
So
when this comes out, we'll be all dead by then. We'll be all dead by then.
Also, other part of my speech, and the other part of I wrote to the UN, so there's two parts. So the other part of my speech was the human cost of abduction.
Yeah.
Now they've said it is real. Every government has come out and said it's real. Yes, it's happening. It's definitely happening. We have, if they don't believe it's happening, then why do they have victims? Why do they have these test scientists? So then the next question is, let's start with me personally. So me personally, I've been infertile. I've lost children. I've been tortured. I've been taken. And it's profoundly changed in my life. And I've had medical issues. I probably will do to the day I die because of this.
Of course,
that's one. Social standing. So people have been ostracized. What about people that have had to go medical treatment against their will, like medical mental health assessments, have been given electric shock treatment? People that have been in prison wrongly just because they said they've seen a UFO, let alone said that they've been abducted. They've been falsely treated, falsely imprisoned and tortured themselves. Now, how are they going to give their lives back and have the lives of their family that lost their mother, their brother, their father, their sister? All these people, they either need to draw a line under it now and say, we come out, we hold our hands up, there's nothing we can do, we're sorry, but we're going to move forward, release everybody. That's not going to happen.
No.
They quietly stop doing it like a drip, 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 but they don't want to talk about these things. They want to look at the UFO, look at the abductees, they just subtract the light. They're not looking at the bigger picture. So let's go environmental now. So the next step up for me is your environment. So you tell me, I want to see Greenpeace's or Greta Thunberg's or the UN's or the environmental agencies' reports. So a UFO comes into our world. It's got to cross the Van Allen radiation belt if it comes from space. Or if it comes from another dimension, it's punching a hole into our atmosphere.
Yeah.
So if I punched a hole put in water, you'd have bacteria. So
of course, yeah.
They're bringing bacteria into our world. They're bringing
viruses,
into our world.
everything.
They're bringing radiation into our world. Where's the environmental impact on that? They're taking oxygen out of our world by coming in. Now, these things crash. Are they seeping radiation into the ground? Are they poisoning? So many of them hit and live underneath our water. We drink that water. We swim in that water. Is it radioactive? Yeah. Is it giving us cancer? Is it poisoning the fish? Is it bleaching the oceans? Why are they blaming environmental damage?
Yeah.
Is it mounting the poles when they're blaming humans? Yes, humans probably got something to do with it. A lot of it. I'm not saying that. But they're not looking at other causes.
No,
when you have radioactive or sound machine waves or anything else flying about, disrupts airspace, it disrupts bird signals. So in migration, where's the environmental impact report on all of that? So that's the global issue. The other factor is they've taken children from us. They've taken sperm from men, ovum from women. Yeah. I know they've created children from me, clones, thousands of these clones. Now, if they're anything like me, and hybrids. They are hybrids.
Yeah.
Well, they'll show me the planet they're going to take them to. And if they're anything like me, they're going to say, no, stop that. I'm going home. I want to go and see where I came from. Literally, they're going to build a ship, get on a ship, if they cause havoc in the universe. and then come here, who's going to be legally responsible and held accountable for that? How many races are doing this? How many races know they're doing this? What if they attack another race? Are we going to be liable? How liable for what they're doing on another world? And what happens if they show up here and start a war? Who's going to be liable for that?
Well,
I don't think
unfortunately,
people have globally
I've been
looked
involved
at this.
in a war with them.
Yeah, so they don't. So where's all these laws? They're not thinking reality. Oh, the UFOs, yes, they are real.
No.
Well, hold on. You've got environmental people chucking paint on the floor for people driving cars. These things are up in the air, overtaking jumbo jets in the sky. That has an environmental impact more than what the fuel jumbo jets using. If they're using fuel and propulsion, it's given a cost. Everything has a cost. It's a cost to our world. Now, if they're flying faster and longer and harder and do all these gravity turns, it's having an effect on our world. What is that?
Of course it is.
So where's all the screaming environmental reports on that? That's what I want to know. So that's why people have been calling me an activist. I'm not been pointing fingers. I want genuine questions that are answered. And where are they? Where is the help? And what about the poor people that are in foreign countries right now, either in a crisis of war or other countries that don't have access to the internet, that don't have the phone, that don't have medical treatment, that can't get to medical things because they've got bits hanging out and vomiting blood, can't go to the toilet and they've got tumours in their head, and bits of metals in a hand to be removed. And the pain they must be going through. Where, and the other, and still further afield, the other human cost to this, the human race is becoming infertile. Is that down to what they're doing to the atmosphere? Is that to the food? Or are they making us infertile? Is that device inside of me? Was that making me infertile? So there are many, many questions. And I'm just one case. There's other things I could talk about and go on, and things I've seen. Abductees hold so much or more information. Without regression or anything like that, I know off the bat, like they can't make this same embryonic fluid to the same level as human. They may be technologically advanced, but they're not biologically advanced because they wouldn't need tissue from us. And if they are technologically advanced, then why come to a planet where lightning affects their ships and they still come down? They come down from the sky. This is it. So they're not that more technologically advanced than us. And are they the only race doing this? Who else is doing this to us? Who else are we bending over for? No, I think the government needs to get their house in order. We pay taxes. I vote. We vote these jokers into, no one's taking anything seriously anymore. No one's standing up for abductees. And why should I?
Politicians are only interested in becoming millionaires so that they're safe and they can go live in areas away from people and have security.
If I went over, if I went to Downing Street, say, or I went to my neighbour's house, or I went to Ukraine, kidnapped to Russia or anywhere, kidnapped a child from his home under the guise of night, went down the road, tied him to a bed, cut chunks out of him, sewed him back up and took him home. Christ, that would be front page news across the world. Every country would want to hang me, kill me, choke me down, want to know what my reason is. How did I get there? They'd want to know. I would be held accountable and there would be justice. There would be justice. And there's no recourse for abductees. None whatsoever. No recourse, no help, no feeling of safe, no medical attention. You're not believed. You've got to go on your bended knee for the doctor for painkillers when you've got lumps in your body. It's absolutely disgraceful. And yet they're testing these people. They got confirmed tests on these people. Well, how do they know they've been abducted? If they're testing them and find out, they know that these people have been taken.
Can I just say? I am interrupting you. Well, I am interrupting you because I've remembered something, right? Yeah, and this is so important because when we were talking, if you remember, I told you something. When I was rushed in, I think about the second time to hospital by my dad, because I was losing my memory as I was sat talking, reading a newspaper. Sunday morning, and I was supposed to have made him a drink of tea, and I sort of and I just went, and I felt my entire memory being taken out, and I was talking gobbledygook. If you want to, it was double Dutch, if you can even say that anymore. But if you know what I mean. And my dad said, "Are you all right?" And I just said, "No, I'm not." And he shouted up to me, "Mum, right, I'm going to have to take our Russ to hospital." Remember I told you? And something bizarre happened when I had to go for body scan and brain scan, CAT scan. And my mum and dad came for me. And I was not in the same hospital that I was being taken to, BRI. Instead, they'd taken me over to another hospital. And I was in a special unit, a special ward. And I could not believe when you told me that it happened to you. I was in an isolation ward with people dying of all sorts of viruses and stuff. And they said if it's any one of these 5, he's not coming out. Can you imagine how no wonder my mum, God rest her, sort of like won't well. And my dad having have all this going on. You know what I mean? And they're looking at me through a window.
Glass window, yeah.
And 3 days later, I had no sight, I had no smell, no taste, and what have you. I came out 3 days later, and it was unbelievable. And my records now, when I've gone through my records, it doesn't say I was taken. It says all the things about what, but it doesn't say it was from a different hospital and an isolation ward. And it says
it was against what I've been after medically, the CCTV footage, because in hospitals they've got cameras up everywhere in Southampton General Hospital. And this woman in yellow, dressed in this yellow protective gear, with another woman came in. Literally, my doctor was laid across the bed saying, who are you? Where are you taking my patient? I'm this lady's doctor. Tell me where you're taking her. They took me off, pushed her off the bed. She was screaming in A&E. All this is on CCTV footage in Southampton General Hospital. They said, I'm going to a ward. There are no beds. I was in the little room on my own right next to the resuscitation unit at Southampton General Hospital. Then they took me around to this isolation unit with a window in. They wheeled like a commode thing in, and I had IV antibiotics and something else in a drip. They gave me some, and then they took blood but left it in my room, which they should have took it away. No one came in my room. 3 days I was there. I wasn't allowed to change clothes, leave the room, nothing. No nurses were allowed to come in and see me, nothing. Blood going back up the tube and that, And on the 3rd day in the morning, this colour doctor came in and said to me, Tina, you suffer from migraine. You can go home. I'll sign you off. And you can. So I get stressed. I thank God for that. Get everything up. He collected up all my notes in the room, all the samples they'd left. They're obviously no good. They've been there a couple of days. All the samples, everything, and he took the lot off. 6 o'clock rolls around, and I'm sat there. I thought I better not leave the room. In case I need to clean the room or something. And then nurse comes and said, Tina, why are you dressed? I said, I'm going home. Because she saw me through the window. And I said, can you come in? Because she had to put all the gear and mask on before she was allowed in the room to come to the door. She wouldn't come in the room. And I stared my drip thing in, my cannula in. And she said, I said, no, the doctor came to see me at 4 o'clock. She said, the doctor hasn't even done their round yet. I said, no. He said, I could go home. He said, I've had a migraine for 4 days. She said, they don't give you 2 lots of different IV antibiotics for a migraine, Tina. She said, are you feeling all right? I said, the doctor was sat there, all my samples are gone. He's taken all my notes, everything. He told me I could go. She said, there is no doctor you've mentioned. Again, that's on CCTV on the ward, because I was on this huge ward. When they came round, I had to wait another 6 or 8 hours before they'd let me go. A doctor who didn't know me, who'd never been on the ward, had to sign a bit of paper. He said, I don't know this lady, but I'm releasing her, because they didn't know why I was in there.
How can you do that if you don't know somebody's case, their history?
Yeah, because there's no one there to release me. My notes and all my notes had gone.
Do you know something? This is bizarre, because the nurse said to me, and I found this really strange at the time. And I says, I haven't been to work for 3 days, and I was a pretty conscientious worker at that time. And I said, I'm going to get sat. I said, if I've not been to work, I says, and I go with a note saying that I've had this so-called migraine. It was a migraine like a stroke, and what have you. I said, I'm going to be sacked. You know what she says? She said, there's no way on God's earth that you'll be sacked for what's happened to you. And
Well, I've got something interesting. So we might share, Russ, we might share this with another abductee. I can't give you a name. David Hodgren organised a UFO abductees meeting in Birmingham, which is halfway up the country for me because I'm right down in the southern Southampton. As far as you can get, I can see the Isle of Wight from down the road. So I travels up there, and it's a closed meeting just for abductees only. And I recognise one or two people that I've met previously before, and there's other people that I've never met before, and I don't know. And the evening going on, this lady starts talking about her son and what had happened to her son on a cruise. And I thought she was there because of her son and she was traumatised. Well, I gets up and David says this is one of the biggest UK abduction case there is. I've been in 4 episodes of UFO Truth magazine, and Tina's got more medical evidence than anybody else. This is her story, and I'm showing slides, and it came up about the black pods, and this woman gasped like a horrible gasp, like someone had just stabbed her. It's like a cry gasp, and everyone looked at her. I said, "Oh, have I upset you? Do you need to leave?" She said, "Oh my God," she said, "I didn't want to say anything." She said, "But Tina, I've seen that. I've seen those pods. I didn't get as close as you. I didn't realise. I thought there were furry things growing in there." She said, "I didn't realise that they were babies." And then the next slide over was these 2 holes I have in my leg. She says, and she showed me her leg. She has the identical same holes in the bottom of her right leg, same distance apart, the same place in her leg as I do.
Wow. So
she's since emailed me. I've emailed her back, but I've had no response. Yeah. But I was absolutely I felt relieved. Horrible that someone's horrified. She cried. I felt really, that relieved that somebody else had the same experience as me. I've seen hundreds of people up there. I'm not the only one. I know that. I've seen hundreds of people.
Yeah, well, when you told me about, and I could not, my sister's face, because I've got my medical. There is a few missing. There is a few, sort of like a few, sort of like notes missing and what have you. Which is from when I went in because of this lump back in my head.
I've got loads of pages from mine. I've got court documents. My solicitor had to get my court records out for a closed court hearing, and found that there was blank sheets. I'll see if I can find you one. It says from an sender unknown, recipient unknown, report was blank. So how can I have an empty page printed with nothing on it, with a report sent from no one and received by no one? How is that even possible?
So nobody's asked them to send it, and it's going to nobody who's asked for it.
Yeah, but they printed it off. How did they manage to print it if it doesn't exist? I don't understand that. So and just for people who don't this was a prepared report. I don't want to give I don't want to be in trouble.
Yeah, be very careful putting medical stuff up. Be very careful.
Yeah.
Seriously, I wouldn't do that.
So, but it says on it they found a medical device inside me. It's been looked at by someone else at the moment. A medical device was found when I went to have my hysterectomy. I'd had scans, X-rays. They were going to give me cancer treatment. I've been infertile. I had ectopic pregnancies, and at this particular time, my solicitor had asked for the histology reports. It took about 4 or 5 months to get them. It took about 8 months to get court orders to get my medical records from the hospital. Once you received them, they were all in such a place that pages were missing. It looked like somebody had rifled through them. And and the page is missing. But it also says on lots of my note, somebody, an unknown user, has been asking. It says on there, report not sent. Unknown user not authorized, hasn't sent my medical things off. So somebody's been asking me to have tests unauthorized on the NHS website, not been adhered to, which I've got copies of. And then it also states that I've had reports sent to somebody from nobody. Unknown sender, unknown receiver, not received, and report is blank. How was that? So when I spoke to my friend was in the space program, and he got found out. He got found out because they traced him through this patch, and he works in hush sites and things like that. And he was interviewed and asked how he knew me. So, and I said to my friend, is that you're going to lose your job? He said, no, they weren't interested in me, Tina. He said, they're interested in you.
What does he do? Sorry, it went a bit funny.
I can't say because he got in so much trouble last time. I didn't say what his name or what he did, but he does very. I can't say what he does. I don't want to get him into. He had a telling off, a big telling off, and I don't want him to lose his job or disappear. He's
right.
lovely
Sorry.
gentleman.
Right.
So but I'm just trying to find these other notes because there's so many pages missing. This is just for one court. This is just for one court case. I'm trying. I think I've got the other one there.
So am I right in thinking then? It's like myself. Sort of like when sort of. I mean, there's a different occasions when I've been taken to hospital. When I've been like suntanned, a sunburn on my face. When I'd been hit by this light, and then I had to go, and I had my liver checked, and it said that I had an enlarged liver.
I have an enlarged liver, enlarged spleen. I have a fatty liver. I have NASH disease, and my liver attacks my spleen. Apparently, I don't have any other medical condition. But when you're taking, this happens apparently, and that is actually medical proof. They said, don't happen to everybody. People who claim that they've been abducted, this actually happens to. So it's a side effect. It's actually a side effect of being taken, of being abducted.
Right, yeah. So again, we got the same thing. My liver, sort of like, and then I've got this thing with me ear. I have like a leak in my right ear. So many.
I have something in my left ear, and I can't hear. It doesn't reverberate sound or something. This document also says about my rhesus negative, so it actually confirms that because I had to have the anti-D jab twice, and they said that I didn't get it. But actually, when my report was filed, my hospital notes that were scanned in, and I was supposed to give my scan copy doesn't match my actual report. My scan.
Nobody will give me a copy of my blood group.
I'm O rhesus negative, and I can show you that on here. And that was because I had to have a cross match. I had to have when they give you anti-D.
I have to go and have my blood tests all the time. And I asked the lady, the somatologist, and I said, "What blood am I?" And she said, "I don't know." And I'm thinking to myself, well, how does that work? You're taking my blood. Surely there must be.
When you have operations, or I've had an organ removed. So when they give you an operation, they have to draw up your blood, like for your pre-op thing, and to have blood ready on the side. But I've had to have.
Well, I had one operation about 7 years ago, so it should say. But there's nothing in none of my records. Can I find my blood group? My mum was O rhesus, and now I think she was positive.
Yeah, that means positive. They can't have O rhesus negative children apparently, but I'm not sure what my mum has. But my mum has got a brain tumor which doesn't grow. She got diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, and the cancer doesn't grow. And she also grew an extra finger. Right, so here we go. So I'm just going to hide that. So there's a reference on here. I'm just going to put my
careful, Tina. Don't show anything that might cause any problems.
So there you go. No, it says there, from an unknown person to an unknown person, clinical report is empty. So how is that? This is my report. How is it empty? From an unknown person to an unknown person. At 000 hours, arrived 13th of May 2004. From unknown to unknown. Scan images enclosed. Nothing on it.
That is bizarre.
So that is. Don't want to put that on there. So that is my medical. No, that's on my notes. And it's date. If you look at the number, each page in your medical record has to be dated and numbered. No. That's page 70. So why would a blank page with nothing on from somebody? And there's a few of them. Here's another one here.
So there's 69 pages missing.
Oh, let's go look. So here's a. Yeah, I'll be careful. I ain't noticing that. I'm just going to cover up that bit there. So there you go. To nobody, from nobody, sent to nobody, returned to nobody, from nobody. And that's on the bottom of the page. I've got loads of them. And then it says on one of my blood test reports, didn't give consent on this one to forward to unknown user or something. It's asked for this report. And it said report and blood test not sent. I have that. I have the medical device that they found inside of me, could produce in medical court. I'm just trying to find, it could be in my other piece here.
Do you remember me telling you that it's in my book where it says on some notes, and the doctor says Mr. Kelly is in a UFO group. What's that got to do with the price of fish? You know?
So this is a printed report by a doctor, I can't say, entered on this day. I'm just going to cover his name up.
Right.
Page 74, it's blank. This is a whole page report.
Says it all. Says it all.
And
What's going on?
I've got loads of. So this one here, I have. So I have. This was for brain cancer. Again, somebody. I just got to do that. Just going to flush it quickly at the top. So to somebody unknown that this person's been sent for an urgent brain scan, urgent cancer referral form, which was me when I was taken. Yeah. And the report was sent from unknown to unknown. This part, you should to let you know this has happened to this person, and it's dated there, stamp dated.
Wow.
There you go. And there's the date there. There's other things on there, so I can't show you what they are.
No, well, I'm not zooming in because purposely for that matter.
Yeah. And then
that is just. I mean, obviously, you've had, it sounds like a lot of things medically for women to go for, a little bit different for men. Well,
they also, I have what they call a tumour. They said they thought I had brain cancer. I've gone into hospital, give me a couple of brain scans, sent me to see a professor, and said that I had this lump. Normally it's got calcium in it, but it's too far back. They scanned it, they said it was bleeding, and there's actually metal inside it. They don't know what it is, and it's about the size of the thing. It's connected to my eyeball from the back. I have that. That's in medical evidence. They picked it up on a scan. And on my medical discharge, it says I clearly had a right ectopic pregnancy, salpingectomy. Then they said I wasn't pregnant.
Wow.
And then
that is incredible.
Well, this one says, actually, I'm going to hide a lot of that, but it says pregnancy confirmed. See that? So, and then I go into one hospital, had scans in July, August, September, October, November, and December. So 7 scans, once a month for 7 months. And 4 days after my last scan, which was on the 11th of December 2009, I went in on the 17th of December of 2009 to be, I have an ectopic pregnancy, not be pregnant. Then to be told that it's a little boy, to be over 7 months pregnant. How can you be 7 months pregnant in 4 days? And have 7 scans and pregnancy not show up on 7 scans? Then they find a medical device inside you. How is that possible? And then again, on discharge notes that don't match my notes and my hospital notes, says that I've had clearly my inside my pelvis could be clearly seen from right to left. My pelvis is completely obliterated with needle marks, thousands of needle marks from left to right inside my pelvis. So I'm in pain a lot of the time.
Talk to me about pelvis.
So where's that come from? So is that a side effect from being abducted? What is that? So this is why I want answers. Why are they allowed to do this to me? Why aren't they being held accountable? Why is this allowed? Why are they letting this do to humans? And so you can and that's why people have been calling me an activist, because I'm angry about it. But people don't seem to realise I've got bleeding good reason to be angry about it.
You've got your rights. You've got to stand up for
Well,
your rights.
this
You
is
see,
what,
I get the same
who's
thing.
protecting my rights?
I get the same thing, Tina. I've been, sort of like he's talking about an alien abductee. He's been in Super Soldier. Oh, does he want compensation? No, I don't.
You should have it.
The thing is, all the compensation in the world, right? Yeah, won't put things right what they've done.
No, it doesn't. And it's taken, people don't realise it's taken more away from you than anything else. It's taken more away.
My life changed overnight, and I'm not joking. It has been like someone says, you're obsessed getting up to going to bed. All as you do and talk about is UFOs, aliens. It can't be right for a person. Well, why not? I'm not hurting anybody. I'm trying to find out the truth. Yeah. And someone said to me, well, you know the truth. Yeah, but I want it clarified.
And understanding.
I want it clarifying. I want people to know, that what I've said has happened. I mean, there's a lot more than has come out because, as you know, I had memory loss. Right, yeah. When I was rushed into hospital, like yourself, when I was told I had this migraine.
Be careful about that. So, yeah, I'm just going to cover that piece up there.
Like
so there is my blood testing. It says here, I am O rhesus negative.
All right.
And they don't test me for the anti-gene because I'm also O rhesus negative and D negative. So D negative means my body attacks any pregnancy and releases different blood type to kill the baby. So, and I'm also given the anti-D, which is the anti-D prolaxis, which comes from another human. It's made from 2 humans. O rhesus negative comes from the bone marrow to stop your body killing your child. So there it tells you how it's worked, and the hospital denied me on my outpatients, my hospital discharge.
How the heck does that happen?
So there you go, and they
obviously said somebody in a laboratory or in a what do you call it, in a medical, undergoing surgery in a theatre of some kind. My God, that is unbelievable.
So yeah. So and then people wonder why I'm angry. I've had all this happen to me. I haven't asked for any of this. But if I was, all these people want to be famous, well, hold on. I want my life back. I'm never going to get that back. I do want being compensated. I'm never going to get compensation. I just want to. And the weird thing was, when I went to the hospital, a maternity hospital, it's always busy. Princess Anne, Southampton, you can never find a seat. You wait in hours. This particular day, me and my mum got called into the hospital after I'd had my hysterectomy and my solicitor had got on our IOS. Because they had my histology reports, because I said I wanted to see somebody. I wanted someone to talk me through them, or I wanted to see this medical device. Now, she told me they took the baby was dead, and that was it. Wasn't a baby. My solicitor told me it was 2 boys and a medical device, which they put in a bag. So we go to this hospital, and we're called to a side ward, me and my mum. It's dead. There's no one in there, not even nurses. The lights are off. Normally, this place has got 200 or 300 people just sat there. It's absolutely dead. The lights are off. It's like something out of a zombie film. Dead quiet, nothing there. And I hear something, and I said, hello, is anyone there? No one there. And then after 5 minutes, there's no one there. And a nurse came in and said, oh, I thought I heard someone. She said, let me put the lights on. She said, what are you 2 doing in here? I said, why is the ward just shut? She said, I don't know. Perhaps no one's in this department today. She said, I don't normally work in this, but I've been asked to work in this department today. I said, I'm here. I've got an appointment. She said, oh, can I see your letter? I said, the lady at reception kept it. I said, but we're in the right place. She said, what's your name? I said, Tina Bird. She went off 5 minutes later. She said, yeah, you are in the right place, apparently. She said, I'll leave the light on for you. About 5 minutes later, this woman walks out of another door. She said, oh, you Tina? She looked at me. She had this file in her hand, no thicker than that. a little brown file. She had a white coat with no badge on. She said, "Hello, my name's Sarah." And my mum stood up. She said, "No, sorry, I can't talk to Mum. I'm only going to talk to you today." I said, "Well, that's fine. Normally, you take your mum in for a bit of moral support. It's a maternity hospital.
Of course you do,
You just learned that you lost your son. Your son's dead. Do you know what I mean?" So, so my mum sat down and looked quite shocked. So I went in the room. The doctor shut the door behind me. I looked at her. I didn't have any idea, and I was more interested in what she had in her paper. And she sat down. She crossed her legs. She looked at me. She said, "I just wanted to meet you, Tina." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "We're here to talk about my histology results today." She never opened it up once. She tapped the book. She went like that. She said, "Tina, can I tell you something?" So, "I've been so interested to meet you," she said. "Just to know, for your own sanity, you've been right, and you've been right all along." I said, what do you mean by that?" She said, "You were right to complain to the doctors." She said, "You must have been in so much pain. People don't understand the pain that you must have been in." I said, "But just know that you're right. You're not mad." She said, "You've been right to question doctors all these years." And I said, "Well, what was the result?" She said, "Oh, you've got some rare thing." She wrote it down. I said, "Well, endometriosis?" She said, "No, something else." She said, "Oh, I can't remember the name now." She said, she wrote.
You can't remember the name.
No. And then she put a bit of paper with it to write down. And when I put the bit of paper, I wrote down on the internet to have a look. Didn't exist. And the woman said, "That's all I can tell you for today." She said, "I just wanted to come down and meet you, Tina." She said, "But don't worry, it's all over with now," she said, and walked off.
You know something, that is bizarre.
And that's true. My mum could testify to that. She was with me. And they've got CCTV up again in the Princess Hospital. So if anyone wants to doubt me, if you get hold of the CCTV, I'm willing to sign my document to say you can have it.
This is sounding familiar on so many levels with me. You know, we being told one thing and then going and another doctor telling you another thing, but saying, "No, but you'll be all right now." It's just that it'll be hard for you because of what what you've gone through. Well, what? Bloody time and space.
Yep.
Abductions, torture. Yeah.
But I don't understand it.
Right, listen, I've just realised it has come to that time now. And
next time.
It goes fast, actually, when I'm talking to you. We'll have to do a second part if you want.
Greatly. I've got the next few weeks, but we'll make time for that. But thank you very much for having me on your show tonight, Russ. It's been absolutely great as normal. And let me get my point across by being I do apologise for that, but thanks again and keep
by telling the truth.
Yeah.
By telling the truth. You know these.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just wish there were more people. I wish there were more people, because I get people on here and, they tell you such a story at the beginning and then it's like pulling teeth. It's like pulling. Right, let me just say, thank you, Tina Bird, abductee, and more than just abductee. Sort of like you couldn't really imagine, and sort of like my heart sort of like feels for you because myself, I know, and it's been great to see you again and to hear your story. And thank you to everybody who has been listening. I know that there won't be as many listening because it was very early for the show, but I'm sure that when it goes up when it goes and people see it and on YouTube, I should imagine that there'll be a lot watching you. Because,
yes, guys, please like, subscribe, and press that share button on Russ's site. You can find me too on YouTube on Encounters. Russ will put this. Can you share it to Encounters on Tina Bird?
Yeah, of course I can send it across to you. I'll have to get my mate to help me because I am terrible.
Yeah, I'm the same. But get him to send it to Encounters, Tina Bird. You'll see me on there. But guys, please like, subscribe, and watch the video. We're always worth it. And I'll see you next time. Thank you, Russ. It's been great.
Definitely. Well, I'll say good night and thanks again to everybody for watching the show, and good night. God bless.